Good day, dear viewers. My name is Luc Tessier, and this is A Form of Sound Words. Can you think of a moment where you really messed up? A moment when you committed a terrible sin or some horrible misjudgment? You got it? Hang on to that thought for a moment. If I were to ask you, what was the root cause of that big mess up? What led you to that moment, to that point in time in your life where you committed that evil? Do you have it? Are you sure you have it? We're encouraged in the Bible for if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. The reality, however, is most of us don't like self-judgment. We'd rather pretend that the thing we didn't actually happen, or it wasn't that bad, or that it wasn't our fault, or that it somehow couldn't be helped. Excuses and self-justifications abound when we are found out in sin and unrighteousness, which is why, as the passage states, all too often, the Lord Himself takes over the judgment and chastening of His children. This is a real shame, because without effective self-judgment, a soul never learns from his or her mistakes and is usually condemned to repeat those mistakes. It becomes a pattern of evil. And patterns of evil usually lead to some sort of great catastrophe. And like I said, this happens to lots of saints. Consider King David's great catastrophe. One could say that it all started in 2 Samuel chapter 11 and verse 2. There we read, "And it came to pass in an eventide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon." This lust of the eyes led to verse 3 of the same chapter. "And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her. For she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house." This led to verse 5. "And the woman conceived, and sent and told David, and said, I am with child," which eventually led to David's actions in verse 14 and 15 of 2 Samuel 11. "And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter saying, set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. So, one evening, David looks upon an attractive woman bathing herself on a rooftop, and days later, David orchestrates the murder of that woman's husband to hide his immorality and take the woman for himself. This is quite an escalation, and that's my point. It usually starts unnoticeably small and seemingly inconsequential, but things can escalate real fast. Again, going back to King David, a case can be made that his catastrophe didn't actually start when he first laid eyes on Bathsheba. It started in verse 1 of 2 Samuel chapter 11. There we read, "And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house." Instead of doing the work of a king and leading his armies into battle, David tarried in Jerusalem and gave himself a little staycation, taking evening naps and going around on leisurely strolls. It all started not with lust, but with idleness. And as the old adage goes, idle hands are the devil's workshop. Combine David's idleness with his growing comfort with the sin of immorality, and catastrophe became inevitable. There are lessons to be learned here. Consider this short clip from the television show Better Call Saul. In this clip, the corrupt lawyer, Saul Goodman, is full of regret over how deep he's gotten into the crimes of his drug-dealing clients. He wonders how he got in so deep. His private investigator tells him exactly how he got to where he got.
What have I gotten myself involved with here? Look, just tell me, what are you saying is gonna...
We all make our choices. And those choices, they put us on a road. Sometimes those choices seem small, but they put you on the road. You think about getting off, but eventually you're back on it. And the road we're on led us out to the desert and everything that happened there and straight back to where we are right now. And nothing can be done about that. Do you understand that?
All those little decisions indeed put us on a road. And when those decisions are made by a carnal, sinful mind, or a mind influenced by satanic forces, the road we find ourselves on can lead to some pretty dark and terrible places. That point, by the private investigator, is 100% correct. His conclusion, though, that nothing can be done about it, well, those are obviously the words of an unbeliever. The Bible gives us plenty of instructions to keep us from falling into self-destructive patterns. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2 says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. We renew our minds by incorporating the means of grace in our lives, by actively refusing the activities and influences of this world, choosing rather to give ourselves over to study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Giving ourselves over to praying without ceasing, by considering one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as we see the day approaching. Brothers and sisters, there are thousands of ways, millions of ways, billions of ways. Our throwaway, seemingly inconsequential little decisions can put us on a road to destruction, to agony, and to ruin. We need to be on our guard. We need to see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. And with that, dear viewers, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.